Hi, I'm Ian. I'm the distiller at Outlier Distilling Company.
And I'm Rick, and I do most of the other stuff. But together we are the Outlier Distilling Company.
You say most of the other stuff, Rick. I mean, this...
all of the other stuff.
All of the other stuff. Because basically, you two have created this company from scratch and you do everything pretty much by hand, don't you?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. It's fair to say it's fairly rustic and hands-on. We do have help in other quarters. Our wives step in, help with photos and videos.
And labelling and bottling.
Exactly. Yeah. And we've also got a designer, Ellen, who helps as well. But essentially it's us two manhandling everything.
Yeah, day-to-day grunt work.
Yes.
Day-to-day grunt work. And do you know what? This is why it's even more remarkable that in an incredibly short space of time you've achieved what you've achieved. And there's something blowing in the wind in London because there's a Hoolie going on in Harrods, which we'll come to in a moment. However, before we do that, I just want to go back to the beginning a little bit because we know a little bit about you guys, but not really enough. So I just want to know how all this came together and how you are doing what you're doing.
I don't know, I often say I only know how to do two things, and that's play Scrabble and make rum. I don't think there's much money in the professional Scrabble game, so we're making rum. Yeah.
Long story short, we met through a mutual friend, Katie, and it was at a point where I was trying to broach out from a previous career. Ian was looking at setting up a distillery. The idea was that initially I was just going to help with a couple of things, but actually we hit it off and decided just to set the company up together. And we made Manx Schnapps in 2020, and then we rolled out Hoolie at the back end of 2021. So to go from, what was it, I think November 21, launching Hoolie to getting in Harrods earlier this month is quite an achievement. I mean, a surprising one.
It's all right. It's quite fancy, that, Ian, as well, isn't it?
I'm dead posh, mate. I mean, you've probably seen our branding. Like we never positioned ourselves as sort of aiming at the high-end luxury market, but apparently they seem to want it. So
it's working for you, isn't it? And that's one of the things I do love about you guys is you do have a real mischievousness to what you do. Like, there is mischief in everything you do. The little videos you post up are really good fun. The branding's got such colour to it and such vibrancy and energy to it, which I should say, when you do achieve things like this, like getting the brand into the likes of Harrods or into the hands of, various famous people, it's also promoting Megan Hindley's artwork, isn't it? Which is ace local designer.
Yeah, we love Meg so much. She's absolute dream to work with.
Yeah. Did she just come up with those designs herself, or did you work with her on them?
So we kind of decided, because if you look at a lot of bottles, you can see they're kind of design led rather than art led, and we just had the idea of working with different local artists, and so for instance Meg, and we give a kind of loose brief. So we sort of say, it's going to be this drink, this is how it's going to be drunk, this is what it's going to taste like, make us something, and so if we were too tight on it, I think you'd lose a lot of the fun. And they look excellent. Yeah,
we just provide a frame. That's it. It's like a Polaroid picture frame, the label. So that's the salient information. You got the ABV, you got the legals, you got the name, but then it's the rest of the label is the art.
So who comes up with the ideas for all the drinks and the different cocktail mixes and all that sort of thing as well?
I tend to start with a pun and work backwards.
Seriously?
I mean,
to some extent.
Yeah. Quite.
Okay, so what pun started each Hoolie and Hurricane then?
Well, I mean, it was Hedge Fund was the one that started it all. I like that name particularly because it is the least commercially sensible product we've ever made. So it takes so long to make.
Yeah, so that's the Manx Schnapps. So we collect blackberries and elderberries from around the hedgerows of the farm at Ballakelly, where we're based. And that's a wonderful process.
It's the most relaxing part of the year. We just plug into an audiobook and go and pick fruit for a couple of weeks, and then make some wine and then distill it.
Well, that's the thing, because you were also really passionate about keeping things sustainable and foraging kind of local produce to go in the various drinks, aren't you?
Yeah, where you can.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much particularly local about the molasses we get from Guyana, but but if you want to make rum, you need molasses, really, or sugarcane juice. And actually, do you know what? I think we are making rum in a style that is perhaps unique to where we are.
Yeah. Why rum then? Why did you choose rum?
Various reasons. The rum community is really fun, and I think it might sort of ring a bit false if we were trying to make high concept whiskies and stuff at this stage of the career. We just want to, we fit in quite well in that space.
And also, rum's like really, really accessible. It is, commercially speaking as well, it's a drink that's on the rise, which that was just lucky for us that it's something that we like to make cocktails with. So like Hoolie, for instance, makes an incredible daiquiri, so a classic daiquiri where it's just Hoolie, lime juice, simple syrup, and it's great because it kind of doesn't give the rum anywhere to hide, and also you won't get scurvy. So fringe benefit.
And it's working for you because not only, as we just said, you are now in Harrods, in a very fancy cocktail bar in Harrods, which is fantastic to hear. But your bottles have been in the hands of some very famous people, even just in the past sort of year, haven't you? I mean, Blunty's got a bottle and he was posting about it on his Twitter feed. I mean, he's got millions of followers.
Yeah, that was just some fortuitous synchronicity, I think.
Forcing yourself into his dressing room, is that what it was?
Well, not us, per se, but the bottle, certainly.
Left what we thought was a funny note, and it obviously just caught him at the right time. It was that post-pandemic where he'd come and played a gig here. I think the Isle of Man crowd had been really good, and so I think we were just very lucky because normally to pay for something like that would cost way more than we've got.
We are bootstrapping this company, and we can't afford to take out newspaper ads and stuff like that all the time. So it's all about trying to be nimble with what you're doing, and most of that is stupid videos of me and Rick.
So it's sort of new ideas for marketing essentially, and really making the most. I was going to say milking it, which sort of refers back to where you actually make your rum.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean,
you have been using a converted milk shed, haven't you? Is that right?
Yeah. So basically, we're operating out of a converted old milking shed on Ballykelly Farm. So that's a working farm, but obviously farming practices have changed and they don't need all the space. So we've just got a 160 litre wood-fired still. So we take all points and offcuts from the Deffer sawmill. So it was one of those things where we wanted to try and be sort of a bit more sustainable and eco where we could be. And then the way gas prices went afterwards, it's not often that you make an ethical choice that actually works out financially.
And I wonder if some of that quirkiness has sort of helped in a way and sort of made you slightly more attractive for people to talk about as well, because I mean Alan Titchmarsh has featured you on his show, hasn't he?
That was so funny.
I mean I think you pretty much blew his head off, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean that was the idea.
Jimmy Doherty and James Martin, who were the TV chefs at the time, I think a chef has a broader palate, and so they loved it. I think it knocked Alan's socks off somewhat.
How do you get your drinks into the hands of these people?
I mean, well, that was a bit weird. So we went to the Rum Fest in London in October, which was at Earls Court, and
which Deffer supported us going to. So thank you, Deffer.
Yeah, where we rocked up, two idiots in a shed from Andrews, and there was the world's biggest rum producers in this room, and me, Rick, and the pallet bar that I built the week before. It was absolutely fine. Yeah. We met some people there. Ian Burrell is global rum ambassador. He does all the TV bits, and he put out a call for white rums produced in the British Isles, and somebody put us forward, and he took it. Yeah. And
so Ian had tried it there because obviously
it's his show.
It's his show, and so he goes and meets all the different people, and he was very impressed by the Hurricane, which is our 64% overproof. So it's something that you kind of typically use as a seasoning in cocktails. And so he took it on the Best of British, and it was literally the last drink tried on the day, and you're like, there's always that slight concern where you're like, is it left to last because it's the best, or is it left to last because this is the comedy drink?
So you didn't know before it went out what was happening?
No, we didn't know what the feedback was like at all.
Yeah.
But I've never cheered at a television that wasn't playing sport.
They really liked it, didn't they?
Yeah.
It went down really well. And so, we got a nice little boost from sales there. But it's like all these things.
It's dry January, like buying 64% rum.
Drink responsibly, though, please, people.
But all of this is also promoting the Isle of Man, which is fantastic because it gets mentioned whenever Hoolie or Hurricane get mentioned. The Isle of Man gets mentioned, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but it's important. It's important to us. We love living here. Neither of us are from it. We're both from Surrey, so we don't really feel like we can claim much ownership of the heritage. Yeah. But it is always windy. So
it makes
wind
sense.
blows on everybody.
It makes sense,
yeah. So that's why we named the products after the wind for the most part, for the rum certainly. Yeah.
And you mentioned the cocktails, Rick, and of course you've been featured in superstar Drew Fleming's award-winning cocktail. I mean, that's amazing.
It is. Kiki's have been very supportive, and they're lovely guys to work with. And they have a real sort of like commitment to excellence. So for them to, you know, actively take and promote Hoolie has been, well, initially a huge relief, because you work on producing something and you think it's good, but you're like, how much of this is just self-belief as opposed to actual quality? And then you put it in the hands of people who are independent and quality focused, and they like it. And that gives a huge amount of confidence.
I'm sure it does. And you're not averse to collaborations, are you? Because I picked up a jar of Cook Shack marmalade the other day, and there's Hoolie in that.
Hurricane, actually. Yeah.
Is it Hurricane in that? Hurricane in that, yeah.
Yeah, so I've known Georgie for years, so it's really cool to collab on stuff like that.
Do you find that it's like that with the producers over here? Everyone sort of like wants to work together.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. So. And we'll work with anybody really.
And the rum and raisin that the gelatery did was amazing.
Sorry, Rory would like us to call it the gelatory.
Gelatory.
Okay,
it rhymes with Rory. Yeah. Gelatory.
Yeah,
I'll get it.
Yeah, that's what that's all about. So what else have you got coming up by way of sort of all of this? Have you got any more collaborations on the cards?
Yeah, we've got something cool coming out in August. July. There's something cool coming out in July.
Yeah.
Which I can't tell
Rick's
you about.
looking at you have we?
Yeah, I was just like, is that the thing I'm thinking of? Yes, it is, but we can't talk about it.
It's the thing that we're not talking about.
So let's not talk about that.
I'm alluding to it by not necessarily talking about it. But we need to sell as much Hoolie and Hurricane as we can this year, so to allow us to do the new stuff.
Yes.
So that's the plan.
You'll hopefully be selling a lot of it down in London, because the big news, of course, is Harrods. Yeah. So, I mean, how did this come about? I mean, and it must feel amazing.
Yeah, surreal. We got distribution in February early this year through a guy I've known for a long time who became a master of wine. He works for this company, Boutonneau. I saw the Boutonneau Spirits arm sort of go live on social media, so got in touch with Mike. He put us in touch. We played a bit of back and forth, didn't we? Took a while to land it.
Yeah, they'd been very impressed by the reception that we got at Rumfest. Also, because they are initially a wine distributor, they're very much focused on sort of provenance and people making the rum themselves, as opposed to, because some people buy blends and relabel, whereas we ship in molasses, then everything else is done on site.
Yeah, we're a completely from scratch distillery. Like we don't buy in anybody's.
And that's quite rare.
Which you wouldn't think so.
No.
But yeah, it is. Yeah.
I mean, given the amount of graft it takes, maybe other people are making the right choice.
It's a hill I'm willing to die on.
Yes, yeah.
So you're not rethinking your choices now. That's good. That's good to know.
Daily, but
yeah.
But we are on the shelf in Harrods. We are. We played it so cool when we went down there. No grinning selfies at all with it.
Just check out their Facebook pages and their Instagram. Honestly, it's so much fun. Well, congratulations, because
Cheers.
It is such an achievement. How far you guys have come in such a short space of time, but you have grafted for it and you totally deserve it. So we're all thoroughly proud of you, and well done indeed. Just let people know then where they can find out more about you and where they can get hold of this amazing booze.
Well, you can find out more about us at outlierdistilling.com. You can also buy it through there, and we do home delivery, but also great support from the wine cellar, so you can drop in there, some EVF stores, and on the Steam packet, and the airport, yes. And also stocked in some different Oakles bars, and actually lots of bars and restaurants across the island.
Yeah, bars and restaurants, and if you're across, Edinburgh's got it, Vino shops in Edinburgh, George Hill in Loughborough, Butler's in Brighton, ND John in Swansea.
Oh, and that little place in London, what's it called? The little corner shop. Harrods.
Tiny little place. Tiny little place. I mean, years ago they used to sell lions in there, so now, they've come back round again to selling proper products now. That's really good to know. Rick and Ian, thank you for all your time with us this morning, and all the best in the future.
Thanks, Christy.
Thanks very much.